The research vessel Harmony drifted silently through the void of deep space. Its white metal shell gleamed under the distant light of unfamiliar stars. The ship was home to 27 crew members from 7 different species across the galaxy. Among them were 3 humans, still newcomers to the greater galactic community. Captain Tae-hyun sat in his command chair, watching the main screen with tired eyes. They had been mapping this sector for 3 weeks, with little to show for it. The border regions between known space and the unexplored territories were usually empty. That made the blinking alert on his console all the more surprising. "Captain," called Doyen, the insectoid science officer whose translucent wings fluttered with excitement. "Sensors detect a ship ahead. No response to hails." Tae-hyun leaned forward. "Show me." The screen changed to display a massive dark vessel. Its strange shape looked nothing like the clean lines of Federation ships. The unknown craft drifted without power, rotating slowly in the emptiness. "Life signs?" Tae-hyun asked. Doyen's compound eyes reflected the light of his workstation. "Unclear. Something is interfering with our scans." Engineer Hyun looked up from her console. Her short black hair framed a face creased with curiosity. "That ship design doesn't match anything in our database, Captain." Tae-hyun stood up. This was exactly why the Harmony existed, to discover new life and civilizations. "Prepare a boarding team. We need to check for survivors." Security Chief Min Seo, a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, each ending in a 3-fingered hand, shook his head. "Captain, regulations state we should call for backup when encountering unknown vessels." "The nearest Federation ship is 2 weeks away," Tae-hyun replied. "If someone needs help in there, they don't have 2 weeks." Dr. Jiho Park, the human xenobiologist, stepped forward. "I volunteer for the boarding party, Captain." Tae-hyun nodded. "Jiho, Hyun, you're with me. Min Seo, choose 2 of your security officers. We leave in 30 minutes. The shuttle approached the derelict ship slowly. Up close, the vessel was even more intimidating. Its hull was dark gray with strange ridges that looked almost like armor, plates on some ancient Earth predator. "I don't like this," muttered one of the security officers, a reptilian named Dail, whose scales changed color with his mood. Currently, they were a nervous yellow-green. Hyun guided their shuttle toward what appeared to be an entry point, a massive tear in the hull. "Something hit them hard," she said quietly. The boarding team, dressed in environmental suits, floated through the breach. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness inside. The artificial gravity was offline, and debris floated everywhere. The air was gone, vented into space through the hull breach. "Look at the size of this doorway," Jiho said, pointing to an opening nearly 3 meters tall. "Whatever species built this ship must be huge." They pushed deeper into the vessel. The corridors were wide and tall, designed for beings much larger than humans. The team moved cautiously, communicating through their helmet comms. "I'm detecting a faint power signature ahead," Hyun said, checking the readings on her wrist device. Some systems might still be working. They followed her lead until they reached what appeared to be a control room. The bodies came as a shock. 3 massive forms floated lifelessly in the zero gravity. The creatures were unlike anything the team had ever seen. Each was easily 2.5 meters tall with powerful limbs. Their bodies were covered in a tough hide of deep purple black. Sharp claws extended from their 4-fingered hands. Their heads featured forward-facing eyes and jaws that could only belong to carnivores, predators. "Federation preserve us," whispered Dael, his scales turning white with fear. Jiho approached one of the bodies carefully. Despite his scientific training, he felt a primal fear stirring in his chest. Everything about these creatures screamed danger to his human instincts. They were built to hunt, to kill. "They've been dead for days," Jiho reported after scanning the nearest body. "Looks like they died from rapid decompression when the hull was breached." "We should go," urged Min Seo. "We've seen enough." "Wait," Tae-hyun said. "Hyun, what about that power source you detected?" Hyun checked her device again. "It's coming from deeper in the ship, 1 deck below us." "We need to check it," Tae-hyun decided. If there are survivors, we can't leave them. The security team was visibly uncomfortable, but they followed orders. They found an access shaft and descended to the lower deck. This section of the ship was darker, with only emergency lighting still functioning. The power source is just ahead, Hyun said. They entered what appeared to be a living space. More bodies of the alien species floated here, 5 of them, but unlike the control room, signs of violence were evident. Deep gashes cut through the walls. The aliens had wounds that couldn't have come from decompression alone. They were fighting something, Minseo observed, his 4 hands instinctively moving to his weapons. A soft sound caught their attention, so faint it could barely be heard through their helmet comms. "Did you hear that?" Jiho asked. They followed, the sound to a small side room. Inside was a sealed container, roughly the size of a large chest. The container was drawing power from the ship's emergency systems. A control panel on its side still blinked with active lights. Jiho approached it carefully. "This is some kind of stasis pod." He studied the alien controls. "I think it's life support." "Can you open it?" Taehyun asked. "I'm not sure that's wise," Minseo interrupted. "If there's something dangerous inside..." Another soft sound came from the container, clearer this time. It sounded almost like a whimper. Jiho made a decision. Using his scanner, he figured out the basic function of the controls and pressed what he hoped was the release mechanism. The top of the container slid open with a hiss of escaping air. Inside, curled in a protective ball, was a small version of the alien species. A child, a cub. It was perhaps 1 meter long with the same powerful build as the adults but softer features. Its eyes were shut tight in fear. The security team immediately backed away. Dale's scales turned bright orange in alarm. "It's one of them. Close. Hit." But Jiho didn't move. Despite the creature's frightening appearance, all he could see was a child, alone, scared, surrounded by its dead family. "It's just a baby," he said softly. The alien cub's eyes opened, revealing bright amber irises with vertical pupils. It made that soft whimpering sound again. Its small claws gripped the edge of the container. "We need to leave. Now." Minseo was already backing toward the door. "That thing is dangerous." Hyun stepped forward instead of retreating. She stood beside Jiho, looking down at the alien child. "It's starving," she said. "Look how thin it is." Taehyun joined them while the security team hovered nervously by the door. The captain studied the small alien. Yes, its features were frightening by human standards. Its teeth and claws could likely do serious damage even at this young age. But its eyes held intelligence and its cries conveyed universal distress. "We can't leave it here to die," Taehyun decided. "Captain, with all respect," Minseo urged from the doorway. "That creature belongs to an apex predator species. Even in its juvenile form, it poses a threat to the ship." "It's a child," Hyun said firmly. "Would you abandon a child of any species?" "Dinyewa?" Security team had no answer to that. Jiho slowly reached toward the container. The cub watched his hand with wide eyes but didn't retreat. "Hello, little one," Jiho said gently. "We're going to help you." The cub made another soft sound, different from before. Its amber eyes moved from Jiho to Hyun to Taehyun, then back to Jiho. "Captain," Hyun said quietly, "I think it understands we're not here to hurt it." Taehyun nodded. "Prepare to transport it to the Harmony. We'll figure out the rest once we're safely aboard." As Jiho carefully lifted the alien cub from its container, he noticed scratch marks on the inside of the lid, as if the adults had sealed the child inside to protect it during whatever attack had destroyed their ship. The cub didn't struggle as Jiho held it. Instead, it curled against his environmental suit, seeking warmth. "The others won't like this," Minseo warned from the doorway. "Probably not," Taehyun agreed. "But we're humans. We don't leave children behind, no matter what species they are." The cub made a purring sound as they carried it back toward their shuttle, its amber eyes never leaving the faces of the humans who had chosen to save it when everyone else would have left it to die. The return journey to the Harmony was tense. Inside the shuttle, the alien cub sat on Jiho's lap. Its amber eyes watched everything with keen intelligence. The security officers kept their distance, hands never far from their weapons. "What will you do with it, Captain?" asked Dale, his scales still showing nervous yellow patterns. "First, we make sure it's healthy," Taehyun replied. "Then we decide the next steps together." The shuttle docked with the Harmony. Word had already spread through the ship about what they had found. A crowd gathered in the hangar bay, curious and afraid. Jiho carried the alien cub as they exited the shuttle. The gathered crew members gasped and stepped back when they saw the creature. Even though it was young, its predatory features were unmistakable. Sharp teeth gleamed when it opened its mouth to make a soft, chirping sound. Medical Officer Jiwoo pushed through the crowd. Her slender form and pale blue skin marked her as an Anali, a species known for their advanced medical knowledge. She stopped abruptly when she saw the cub. "You brought that aboard our ship?" Her voice was high with disbelief. "It needs medical attention," Jiho said firmly. Jiwoo shook her head. "I cannot treat that creature. Look at those claws, those teeth. It would be too dangerous." "It's a child," Hyun argued. "A starving child." Jiwoo's expression hardened. "The Galactic Medical Oath has a self-preservation clause. I will not risk my life treating an apex predator." Taehyun addressed the gathered crew. "This juvenile is now under the protection of human authority on this vessel. Engineer Hyun, Dr. Park, and I will take responsibility for its care. We demand a council meeting," shouted someone from the back of the crowd. Murmurs of agreement followed. "Very well," Taehyun agreed. "Council chamber in 1 hour. Until then, the creature stays with us." The council chamber of the Harmony was a circular room with seats for representatives of all 7 species aboard. Captain Taehyun sat in the center chair, with Jiho and Hyun beside him. The alien cub rested in a makeshift carrier between them. Science Officer Doyen spoke first. "Captain, I have analyzed the data from the derelict ship and the biological scans of the adult specimens. I believe we are dealing with a previously undiscovered apex predator species." "What does that mean exactly?" asked Taehyun, though he already knew. Doyen's wings fluttered nervously. "These beings evolved as hunters. Everything about their physical structure suggests they are perfectly adapted to pursue and kill prey. The adults we found were nearly 3 meters tall with strength that would far exceed even the strongest human." Security Chief Minseo stood next. All 4 of his arms were crossed in a gesture of firm resolve. "Captain, while I respect your compassion, keeping this creature aboard presents an unacceptable risk to the crew. Even as a juvenile, it could harm someone." "What do you suggest?" Taehyun asked. "We should return to the location where we found it and leave it there," Minseo said. "That would mean certain death," Hyun interrupted. "The ship was destroyed. There was no food left. It would starve. Or we could turn it over to Federation scientists," suggested another council member. "They have secure facilities designed for studying dangerous species." The alien cub made a soft sound, almost as if it understood it was being discussed. It pressed closer to Jiho's side. Medical Officer Jiwoo stood. "I have consulted the ship's medical database. There is nothing in our records about this species. We have no way to know what it eats, what diseases it might carry, or how quickly it will grow. The potential dangers are incalculable." "The ship's computer has completed its analysis," Doyun added. "It calculates a 96.8% probability that this species represents an apex predator in its ecosystem. In simpler terms, it was likely the dominant hunter wherever it evolved." The room fell silent as everyone stared at the small creature. Despite its young age, they could all see the potential danger in its form. Even sitting calmly, its muscles rippled with strength beneath its dark hide. "It may look harmless now," Minseo warned. "But what happens when it triples in size? What happens when instinct takes over and it sees us as prey?" Hyun stood up suddenly. Her eyes flashed with emotion. "Listen to yourselves. You're talking about a child as if it were a monster." "It is not a child of any known species," countered Jiwoo. "We have no idea how it thinks or what drives it. I know enough, Hyun said firmly. When we found it, it was afraid. It responded to gentle treatment. It shows every sign of intelligence. Taehyun touched the cub's head gently. We humans were once apex predators on our homeworld. This statement caused a stir among the council. Though humans had been part of the galactic community for nearly 30 years, many species still regarded them with caution because of their predatory origins. It's true, Taehyun continued. Our ancestors were pursuit predators. We hunted across the plains of Earth for thousands of years. But we also developed compassion. We learned to care for the vulnerable, even those not of our own kind. That is precisely my concern, said Doyen quietly. Humans have been known to form emotional attachments to dangerous creatures. Your history shows many examples of this behavior. Jiho looked down at the cub, which was now curled against his leg. Yes, we do form attachments, and one of our strongest attachments is to children who need protection. The debate continued for another hour. The non-human council members presented logical arguments about safety protocols, unknown risks, and the duty to protect the crew. The three humans spoke of compassion, potential, and the responsibility to care for the helpless. Finally, Taehyun raised his hand for silence. As captain of this vessel, I have heard all perspectives. Here is my decision. He stood tall, his voice firm. The alien juvenile will remain aboard the Harmony under human care. We will establish a secure habitat in Cargo Bay 3. Dr. Park, Engineer Hyun, and I will take full responsibility for its welfare and security. Voices rose in protest, but Taehyun continued. This is not open for further debate. If our Federation stands for anything, it stands for the protection of life. We cannot claim to be explorers seeking new civilizations if we abandon a child simply because its species frightens us. Minseo shook his head. Captain, I must formally register my objection. For the security log, noted, Taehyun said calmly. Register this as well. If any harm comes to the crew because of my decision, the responsibility is mine alone. The council meeting ended with tension hanging in the air. As the non-human crew members filed out, many cast worried glances at the alien cub. Alone with Hyun and Jiho, Taehyun sighed. Well, that could have gone better. Hyun smiled slightly. But it went exactly as expected. What do we do now? Jiho asked, looking down at the cub. We know nothing about caring for this species. We learn, Taehyun said simply. Just as parents of any species learn to care for their young. The cub made a chirping sound and stretched its limbs. For the first time, it seemed relaxed. It needs a name, Hyun suggested. We can't keep calling it the cub or the creature. Jiho thought for a moment. How about Sora? It means sky in my grandmother's language. Because we found it among the stars and Sora, Taehyun repeated. The cub's ears perked up at the sound. I think it suits her. Her? Hyun asked. Jiho nodded. Based on what I could determine from the brief biological scan? She's female. Sora looked up at her three human protectors with intelligent amber eyes. Then she did something unexpected. She reached out one small clawed hand and touched Jiho's arm gently, almost like a gesture of thanks. I think she understands more than we realize, Hyun said quietly. Taehyun nodded. Then let's make sure she understands this. She's safe now. Whatever happens, we won't abandon her. As if in response, Sora made a soft purring sound. The three humans exchanged determined looks. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with Sora as part of their unlikely family among the stars. Cargo Bay 3 of the Harmony had been transformed. What was once a storage space for spare parts now resembled a comfortable habitat. The humans had worked tirelessly for 3 days to create a safe environment for Sora. Hyun had built walls around a section of the bay, creating a spacious enclosure. She installed a soft sleeping platform and added climbing structures after noticing how Sora liked to perch in high places. A clear observation window allowed them to monitor her without entering the habitat. Jiho sat cross-legged on the floor of the habitat, watching as Sora investigated a puzzle toy he had designed. The cub's amber eyes narrowed in concentration as she turned the device with her clawed hands trying to release the food hidden inside. Her dexterity is remarkable, Jiho said to Hyun, who stood watching through the window. She has the fine motor control of a being much older, and she's getting stronger, Hyun noted. I had to reinforce those climbing bars again yesterday. Sora suddenly looked up, her ears twitching. Seconds later, the door to the cargo bay slid open and Captain Taehyun entered carrying a container. How is our girl today? He asked. Hungry, Jiho replied with a small smile. The standard Federation rations aren't working. She won't eat them. Taehyun held up the container. I think I have the solution. I asked the food synthesizer to create something with higher protein content based on the biological samples you collected, Jiho. He passed the container through a small delivery port in the habitat wall. Sora abandoned her puzzle toy immediately, moving with startling speed to investigate the new food. Her nostrils flared as she sniffed the contents. Will she eat it? Hyun wondered aloud. They got their answer as Sora began to consume the synthetic meat mixture with obvious pleasure. Her sharp teeth made quick work of the dense protein. I'll take that as a yes, Taehyun said, looking pleased. Jiho made notes on his tablet. This confirms my theory. Her species must be primarily carnivorous. The muscle structure and teeth suggested as much. After finishing the meal, Sora approached Jiho and made a chirping sound. Then, to the surprise of all three, humans? She mimicked the motion Jiho often used when taking notes, pretending to tap on an invisible tablet. Did you see that? Hyun whispered in amazement. She's copying you, Jiho. Incredible, Taehyun said. We knew she was intelligent, but this suggests an advanced capacity for observational learning. Jiho held out his tablet to Sora, curious about what she would do. The cub studied the device, then gently touched the screen with one clawed finger. Lines appeared where she touched, and Sora jerked back in surprise before leaning forward again with interest. She understands cause and effect, Jiho said, and she's not afraid to experiment. A warning light flashed above the cargo bay door. Security Chief Minseo entered, his forearms rigid with tension. He stopped at a safe distance from the habitat. Captain, I need to speak with you, he said, his eyes never leaving Sora. Taehyun nodded. Of course, what is it, Chief? Minseo held up a data pad. I've been documenting the creature's development. In just 3 days, it has grown noticeably. Its strength has increased by 15% according to Dr. Park's measurements. Its reaction time is twice that of even the most enhanced security officer. She, Hyun corrected firmly. Not it. Her name is Sora. Minseo ignored the correction. Captain, at this growth rate, the creature will soon be too dangerous to contain. I formally request that we divert to the nearest Federation research station and transfer it there. Taehyun studied Minseo thoughtfully. I understand your concerns, Chief, but I've seen nothing to suggest Sora poses a threat to this crew. With respect, sir, you haven't seen this. Minseo activated his data pad, and a video began to play. The footage showed Sora alone in her habitat. During the night cycle, she was playing with an enrichment toy, a simple ball made of durable materials. As they watched, Sora became frustrated when the ball rolled under a piece of furniture. In a burst of speed, she leapt forward, her claws extending. The ball was shredded in seconds, torn to pieces with frightening efficiency. That ball was made of reinforced polymer, Minseo said gravely. The same material used in our emergency hull patches. A heavy silence fell over the cargo bay. Even Jiho looked troubled by the display of raw power from the young alien. Inside the habitat, Sora sensed the change in mood. She approached the window and placed one hand against the clear surface, her amber eyes fixed on Jiho with what looked remarkably like concern. She was just playing, Hyun said finally. Young predators on Earth do the same thing. It doesn't mean she's aggressive. I respect your expertise in engineering, Hyun, Minseo said, but not in xenobiology. This creature represents an unknown threat. Actually, Jiho interrupted, I am a xenobiologist, and I agree with Hyun. What we saw was play behavior, not aggression. Predator species learn hunting skills through play. It's natural. Taehyun stepped forward. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Chief. I value your vigilance, but my decision stands. Sora remains under our care. Minseo's expression hardened. The crew is talking, Captain. Many are afraid to sleep knowing that creature is aboard. Some are considering formal complaints to the Federation Council. Let them complain, Taehyun said evenly. My conscience is clear. After Minseo left, Taehyun turned to his fellow humans. He's right about one thing. We need to be careful. Sora is getting stronger every day, and smarter, Jiho added, watching as Sora returned to her puzzle toy, solving it more quickly than before. 2 weeks passed aboard the Harmony. The 3 humans established a routine of caring for Sora, taking turns spending time in the habitat with her. Despite continued wariness from the rest of the crew, Sora thrived under human care. Jiho sat inside the habitat, showing Sora images on his tablet. He pointed to a picture of a tree. Tree, he said clearly. Sora studied the image, then made a sound that approximated tree with surprising accuracy. Good, Jiho smiled, moving to the next image of a star. Star, he said. Sora repeated. Star, her alien vocal cords creating a slightly raspy version of the word. Her language acquisition is astonishing, Jiho told Hyun later as they shared a meal in the ship's dining area. She's already learned 30 basic words. Her comprehension seems even greater than her speaking ability. Hyun nodded. She understands complex instructions now. Yesterday I asked her to bring me the red tool from the blue box and she did it perfectly. The dining area fell silent as Science Officer Doyun approached their table. The insectoid scientist rarely spoke to the humans directly since Sora had come aboard. Dr. Park, Doyun said formally, I have reviewed your reports on the alien juvenile. Your data is impressive. Thank you, Jiho replied, surprised by the unexpected communication. I find myself curious, Doyun continued. Would it be possible to observe your next session with the creature? From a scientific perspective only, of course. Jiho and Hyun exchanged glances. This was the first sign of interest rather than fear, from any non-human crew member. Of course, Jiho said. Sora's morning session starts at 800 tomorrow. You're welcome to observe. The small breakthrough with Doyun gave the humans hope. Perhaps with time, the rest of the crew would come to accept Sora too. That hope was tested the next day when the Harmony docked at Outpost 227 for supplies and routine maintenance. Word of the alien cub had spread through Federation communications. A delegation of officials waited when the airlock opened. Captain Taehyun, said a stern-faced Federation officer, we have received reports that you are harboring a potentially dangerous unclassified life form aboard your vessel. Federation protocol requires that such beings be transferred to appropriate containment facilities for study. Taehyun stood tall. With respect, Sora is under human protection. She remains aboard the Harmony. This isn't a request, Captain. It's an order from Central Command. Taehyun's expression didn't change. Then I formally invoke the Sentient Rights Act, Section 12, which states that any being demonstrating clear signs of intelligence and self-awareness cannot be contained against their will without due process. The Federation officer frowned. You're claiming this creature is sentient? She has language skills, problem-solving abilities, and emotional responses, Jiho added, stepping forward. My research confirms sentience by any measurable standard. We have prepared complete documentation, Hyun said, handing over a data chip. Sora remains under our care until a proper hearing can determine her status. The standoff lasted several tense minutes before the Federation officials reluctantly backed down, promising to return with proper authorization. Back aboard the Harmony, Taehyun looked troubled. This isn't over. They'll be back with more authority next time. Then we need to be ready, Hyun said firmly. We need to prove beyond any doubt that Sora deserves protection. In her habitat, Sora watched the 3 humans with intelligent eyes. She seemed to sense their concern. Approaching the window, she placed her hand against the surface and spoke in her raspy voice. Sora, stay. With humans. The simple sentence left them speechless. It was the first time she had formed words into a meaningful statement on her own. Yes, Jiho said finally, placing his hand against the window opposite hers. Sora stays with humans. We promise. 6 months passed since the day Sora joined the crew of the Harmony. The small alien cub was no longer small. She had grown rapidly, now standing nearly 2 meters tall. Her dark purple-black hide had developed a subtle pattern of lighter markings. Her amber eyes had grown sharper, more perceptive. The humans had been forced to expand her habitat twice to accommodate her growth. Captain Taehyun had given up an entire cargo bay for her use, much to the displeasure of some crew members. Her physical development is remarkable, Jiho said, as he reviewed his latest scans. He sat with Hyun and Taehyun in the small observation room connected to Sora's habitat. At this rate, she'll reach full adult size within another 6 months. Hyun looked concerned. The Federation officials will use that against us at the hearing next week. The humans had been fighting a legal battle to keep Sora aboard the Harmony. So far, they had succeeded using various legal maneuvers and the support of a few sympathetic Federation officials, but a final hearing was scheduled at the next space station, and the outcome was uncertain. Inside her habitat, Sora was reading from a tablet. Her language skills had developed to the point where she could speak in complete sentences and read basic texts. Her deep, slightly raspy voice called out to them, "Jiho, I finished the books you gave me. May I have more?" "Of course," Jiho replied with a smile. He sent a new batch of files to her tablet. "These are about Earth animals. I thought you might find them interesting." Sora's eyes lit up. "Thank you. I like learning about Earth predators. They are like me, but different." The communication system suddenly blared with an urgent alert. "Captain to the bridge immediately," came the voice of the first officer. Taehyun frowned. "Stay with Sora. I'll see what this is about." When he reached the bridge, the atmosphere was tense. The crew moved quickly between stations, their faces tight with worry. "Report," Taehyun ordered as he took his seat. Science Officer Doyen looked up from his console, his wings vibrating with agitation. "Captain, long-range sensors have detected a vessel entering this sector. It's massive, at least 10 times the size of the Harmony." "Show me," Taehyun said. The main screen changed to display a distant object moving through space. Even at this range, Taehyun could see that the unknown ship was enormous. Its design was familiar in a way that made his heart race. "Magnify," he ordered. The image zoomed in, revealing a vessel with the same distinctive design as the derelict ship where they had found Sora 6 months ago. "Is it?" Taehyun began. "Yes, Captain," Doyen confirmed. "The configuration matches the alien vessel we encountered. It appears to be of the same origin as the juvenile species." The bridge fell silent as everyone processed this information. For 6 months they had wondered about Sora's people, where they came from, and if any others had survived. "How fast are they traveling?" Taehyun asked. "That's the concerning part, sir," replied the navigation officer. "They're moving at a speed beyond our capability. At their current velocity, they will reach our position in less than 6 hours. Security Chief Minseo stepped forward. "Captain, we should prepare defensive measures. We have no way of knowing their intentions." "Agreed," Taehyun said. "Raise shields, but do not power weapons. I want to attempt communication first." He pressed a button on his chair. "Jiho, Hyun, bring Sora to the bridge immediately." The arrival of Sora on the bridge caused immediate tension. Many crew members had never seen her outside her habitat. At her full height, with her powerful build and predatory features, she was an intimidating presence. "Sora," Taehyun said gently, "we've detected a ship that might belong to your people. Do you recognize this vessel?" Sora studied the screen, her amber eyes widening. "Yes," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Heesel's ship. Home." "Heesel?" Jiho asked. "Is that the name of your species?" Sora nodded. "We are Heesel. I remember. Now, the ship that was attacked, my parents were scientists. They were studying this sector when raiders came. This was the most Sora had ever revealed about her past. The trauma of losing her family had blocked many of her memories until now. "Captain," warned Minseo, "the alien vessel has increased speed. They will be here in 3 hours." Word of the approaching ship spread quickly. Panic began to ripple through the Harmony. Several crew members requested permission to evacuate to escape pods. Others demanded that Sora be restrained or sedated before her people arrived. In the midst of the chaos, the communications officer called out, "Captain, we're receiving an urgent message from Federation Command." The message appeared on the main screen. It was brief and alarming. "All Federation vessels, avoid contact with unknown species designation XJ-1A17. Preliminary biological analysis indicates extreme danger. These beings are classified as apex predators with technology beyond Federation capabilities. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage." The bridge crew looked at Sora with renewed fear. Standing among them, powerful and alien, she represented everything the warning described. "Captain," Minseo urged, "we should leave this sector immediately." Taehyun stood silent for a long moment. Then he made his decision. "No, we will not run. Hail the approaching vessel." "Sir?" The communications officer looked shocked. "You heard me. Open a channel." Taehyun turned to Sora. "Your people are coming for you. I believe they've been searching for survivors. We should welcome them." The crew watched in tense silence as the communications officer opened a channel. For several minutes, there was no response. Then, suddenly, the main screen activated. The image that appeared caused gasps around the bridge. A massive being filled the screen. It looked like an adult version of Sora, but even larger and more imposing. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, with powerful muscles beneath dark hide, the alien had the same amber eyes as Sora, but they held wisdom and age beyond anything the humans had seen. The being spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. The universal translator struggled for a moment before converting the words. "I am Commander Taiho of the Hazel Empire. You have something that belongs to us." Sora stepped forward into view of the communication screen. "Father's brother," she said in her own language, without waiting for the translator. The commander's fierce expression changed instantly. His amber eyes widened in shock, then softened with what could only be described as joy. "Little one," he said, his powerful voice gentling. "You live. How is this possible?" Taehyun stepped forward. "Commander, I am Captain Taehyun of the Federation, Vessel Harmony. We found Sora 6 months ago on a damaged ship. She was the only survivor." The commander's gaze shifted to Taehyun, studying him intently. "You saved our child?" The question held disbelief. "Yes," Taehyun confirmed. "We have cared for her since then." "The humans protected me," Sora added quickly. "When others feared me, they showed kindness." The commander was silent for a long moment. His expression was unreadable to human eyes. "You will prepare to receive our delegation," he finally said. "I must see this miracle for myself." The screen went dark. The bridge erupted in panicked voices. Minseo argued loudly for security measures. Others suggested hiding or fleeing. "Enough." Taehyun's voice cut through the chaos. "We will welcome the Hazel delegation with respect. They are coming for Sora, and we will show them the same compassion we showed her." "Captain," Minseo pleaded, "these beings could destroy us without effort. You saw the commander. Their physical power alone makes them dangerous, not to mention their advanced technology." "I saw a being who loves Sora as family," Taehyun replied, firmly. "That is what I choose to focus on." Hyun placed a hand on Sora's arm. "Are you happy to see your people?" Sora looked down at the human woman who had helped raise her for 6 months. "Yes," she said softly. "But I am afraid too. I have become part of your family. I do not want to lose you." "You won't," Jiho promised. "No matter what happens, you will always be part of our family." As the massive Hazel ship approached, the humans prepared to meet beings from beyond known space. hoping that the bonds they had formed with Sora would be enough to bridge the gap between their worlds. The Harmony's main docking bay seemed to shrink as the HFY delegation entered. 5 enormous aliens stepped through the airlock, each standing over 3 meters tall. Their dark purple-black bodies moved with fluid grace despite their massive size. Commander Taiho led them, his amber eyes scanning the assembled crew until they found Sora. Captain Tai-hyun stood at the front of the reception committee, with Jiho and Hyun beside him. Most of the non-human crew members had refused to attend, staying in their quarters instead. "Welcome aboard the Harmony," Taehyun said formally. "I am Captain Taehyun." Commander Taiho towered over the human captain, his massive head inclined slightly in acknowledgement. "You are smaller than I expected," he said, his deep voice rumbling through the translator. "How did beings so fragile defeat the raiders who killed our scientists?" "We did not encounter the raiders," Taehyun explained. "We found the ship drifting, already damaged. Sora was the only survivor." Sora stepped forward. She moved toward her uncle with a mixture of excitement and hesitation. Though she had grown much in 6 months, she still looked small compared to the adult Hazel. Commander Taiho reached out one massive clawed hand and gently touched Sora's head. The gesture seemed deeply meaningful to both of them. "You have grown, strong little one," he said softly. "The humans helped me," Sora replied. "When everyone else wanted to leave me, they chose to save me." The commander's gaze shifted back to the humans. "Is this true?" Jiho nodded. "Yes. Some of our crew were afraid because your species is clearly evolved as apex predators. But we couldn't leave a child to die, regardless of species. Even when your Federation ordered them to give me up, they protected me," Sora added. This seemed to surprise the commander. He studied the humans with new interest. "In our culture, the care of young is sacred. Even the young of other species are to be protected when found vulnerable. We did not expect to find this value in smaller beings," Hyun smiled. "Perhaps we have more in common than appearances would suggest." "Perhaps," the commander agreed. His massive form seemed to relax slightly. "Show me how you have cared for our child." The tour of Sora's habitat impressed the Heisel delegation. They examined the adaptations the humans had made for her comfort, the learning materials they had provided, and the care they had taken with her diet. "You understood her needs without knowing our species," one of the Heisel observed. "Impressive." "We tried our best," Jiho said modestly. "There was much trial and error." Commander Taiho watched as Sora interacted with the humans. The ease between them, the obvious affection, told him more than words could. When they returned to the conference room, his demeanor had changed noticeably. "Captain Taehyun," he said, "the Heisel Empire has been searching for survivors of our scientific mission for 6 months. We presumed all were lost. Finding Sora alive and thriving is beyond our hopes." "She is remarkable," Taehyun agreed. "She has learned our language and customs quickly. She has been a joy to have aboard, despite the challenges." The commander leaned forward. "You must understand, we have encountered many species in our exploration of space. Most flee from us in fear. Some attack out of that same fear. None have ever shown kindness to our young. Fear is a poor basis for first contact," Hyun said. "Indeed." The commander's amber eyes seemed to glow with intensity. "This act of mercy toward our child will not be forgotten." Just as the conversation was warming, the ship's alert system activated. A communication officer's voice came over the speaker. "Captain, we have an urgent transmission from Federation Command. Multiple warships are approaching our position." Taehyun excused himself and went to a communication panel. When he returned, his expression was grim. "It seems the Federation has learned of your arrival, Commander. They are sending ships to protect Federation interests and demand we turn Sora over to them immediately." The Hazel delegation stood as one, their massive forms suddenly tense and ready. "They wish to take our child?" Commander Taiho's voice had dropped to a dangerous growl. "They fear what they do not understand," Taehyun said quickly. "Just as some of our crew feared Sora at first." "Captain," the communications officer called again. The Federation fleet has arrived. Admiral Jinsu demands to speak with you immediately. The main screen activated to show a stern-faced admiral of the Federation fleet. He took in the scene of the conference room, his expression darkening when he saw the Hazel delegation. Captain Taehyun, you have disobeyed direct orders to avoid contact with species XJ-117. You will surrender the juvenile specimen and withdraw from the sector immediately. Before Taehyun could respond, Commander Taeho stepped forward. I am Commander Taeho of the Hazel Empire. The child you refer to is under our protection. Any attempt to take her will be considered an act of war. The Admiral's face paled slightly as he took in the full size and clear power of the Hazel commander. But he recovered quickly. The Federation does not respond to threats. Our ships are authorized to use force if necessary. Admiral Taehyun interrupted. The Hazel are not our enemies. They came peacefully to recover their lost child, whom we saved 6 months ago. There is no need for military action. Stand down, Captain. That's an order. The Admiral's voice was cold. The Federation Security Council has deemed these beings a potential threat to all civilized species. Their biological profile indicates a highly aggressive apex predator species with technology beyond our own. We cannot allow them free access to Federation space. Commander Taeho's patience visibly thinned. Your fear blinds you, Admiral. Had we wished to attack, we would not have announced our arrival or come in peace. The situation was rapidly deteriorating. Taehyun could see the anger building in the Hazel delegation, matched by the stubborn fear of the Federation Admiral. Before either side could say something that would lead to violence, Sora stepped forward. Please, she said, her voice clear and strong. I wish to speak. All eyes turned to her. Standing between the humans and her own people, Sora seemed to embody the possibility of peace between them. Admiral Jinsu, she said formally. I am Sora of the Hazel. 6 months ago, I lost my family when raiders attacked our scientific vessel. I would have died alone in space if not for the humans of the Harmony. When others of their crew wanted to leave me or lock me away, Captain Taehyun, Dr. Park, and Engineer Hyun chose to protect me. The Admiral seemed taken aback by her eloquence. The specimen can speak? I am not a specimen, Sora said firmly. I am a person, just as you are, just as the humans are. We may look different, but we share the capacity for compassion. The humans showed me this. Commander Taeho placed a massive hand on Sora's shoulder with gentle pride. My people have traveled far beyond your known space, Admiral. We have encountered many species. Until now, we believed we were alone in valuing the protection of the young above all else. The humans have shown us otherwise. A tense silence followed. The Admiral seemed to be reassessing the situation. Finally, he spoke. Captain Taehyun, I'm ordering you to bring your ship to Federation headquarters. The Security Council will want to hear this directly. Commander Taeho, we request that your vessel accompanies the Harmony. We will come, the commander agreed. But not as prisoners or suspects. We come as potential allies because of what these humans have done. The screen went dark as the Admiral ended the transmission. The tension in the room slowly eased. That went better than expected, Hyun said with a relieved smile. It is not yet resolved, Commander Taeho cautioned. Your Federation fears us, and fear can lead to foolish actions. Taehyun nodded. True, but they've agreed to talk instead of fight. That's a beginning. 1 week later, the Grand Council chamber of the Federation headquarters fell silent as Captain Taehyun concluded his address. Representatives from 200 species had gathered to witness this historic moment. In conclusion, Taehyun said, the Hazel Empire extends an offer of alliance to humanity specifically. They recognize in us a shared value that transcends our physical differences. Like them, we evolved as predators on our homeworld. Like them, we learned that true strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the choice to protect. Sora stood beside Commander Taeho, watching proudly as her human friends spoke on behalf of both their peoples. She had chosen to return with her biological family, but the bond with her human protectors remained unbroken. The Federation Council deliberated for hours before reluctantly accepting the alliance between humans and the Hazel. Though many remained fearful of the powerful aliens, none could deny the advantage of having such allies rather than enemies. As the formalities concluded, Jiho approached Sora to say goodbye. "You'll always have a home with us," he told her. "Remember that." Sora smiled, showing her predator's teeth in what had become a very human expression. "I will never forget what you taught me, that sometimes the strongest hands are the ones gentle, enough to help not hurt." Commander Taiho joined them. "Dr. Park, we would be honored if humans would send representatives to our homeworld. There is much our peoples can learn from each other." Later aboard the Harmony, Taehyun, Jiho, and Hyun watched as the massive Hazel ship prepared to depart. "What do you think will come of this alliance?" Hyun wondered. "Something good," Taehyun said confidently. "Something neither of our peoples could achieve alone." A message appeared.